Time, excuse me, the time is 7 p.m.
Check,
I
check.
call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that we have a quorum present with all council members here. Notice has been duly posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551, and we're here to conduct the business of the city. And I'm sorry, do we have legal online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, good, thanks. And at any time, we could go into closed executive session, but we don't anticipate that. Tonight's a special night. We're gonna do some of our routine stuff, and then we have to canvass the election results and thank a council member for their service for the past 9 years and adopt a new or welcome in a new council person. But until that point, right now, we are going to do our invocation and our pledges. And Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Drake, would you give us the honor of doing this for your last time?
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Father, we come to you this evening to, far and foremost, Father, to ask you to forgive us of our sins, Father. We thank you for this glorious day, Father. We ask that this transition that is about to occur, Father, that your hand is in it, Father. We ask that you continue to watch over this council and guide and lead them, Father. We ask that they look for you for decision, Father. Father, we ask that you continue to watch over our city, the city of Red Oak, Father, as we all are walking under you and under your guidance. We ask that you continue to watch over our first responders, Father. We ask that your hand is with them, Father. We ask that you continue to watch over this council and each and every person that made it here, Father, this evening. We thank you for your grace and for your son. Father, we honor you, we serve you, and we ask that you continue to be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, sir. Chief Blanton, you got a exciting pinning and recognition. So
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here tonight before you to honor Jamichael Howard. He's finished his 1-year probationary. And we don't, in Red Oak, we don't give them their badge until they've gone through their probationary 1 year and passed all the tasks and their rookie test. And at that time, they can get their badge and get their shield, their permanent shield instead of just their probationary shield. So tonight, Michael. And he's going to be pinned tonight by his fiance, Marisa Carter. But if you will indulge me for just a minute, firefighting has a rich history. It's reflected in the firefighter badge. Badge pinning is a proud tradition within the fire service, signifying the introduction of department members to their new duties. Our badge incorporates the Maltese Cross, which pays honor to the men and women who risk their lives to protect others. The center of the badge includes a scramble of various tools of the trade. Elements of the scramble, despite some slight regional variations, generally includes a ladder, the pike pole, helmet, nozzle, and bugles. The ladder, which has always been a part of the fire service and used to rescue trapped victims, remind us of the moral responsibility to rescue those in need. The pike pole, which is in the early years would be used to tear down or bring down walls or buildings as a primary method of preventing the spread of fire, reminds us of our duty to stop the spread of fire, not just before the flames, but also in our efforts to prevent them before they start in the first place. The nozzle, which forever has been the median through which water is applied, reminds us of our obligation to act on our urgency when responding to others in need. The bugle, which was once used by officers to communicate with others in under their charge, is a reminder that we are under the authority of officers who have trained and have been selected on both their technical and leadership abilities. I believe each of these items are there to represent the vigilance we are called to in our training, our professional protection, and to focus on protecting the public that we serve. The badge itself represents both authority and protection. As firefighters, you're entering into a field that enjoys one of the highest level of public trust. When you pin on the badge of your chest, in place of prominent display, you are showing the public your commitment to stand in their defense against the threats of their lives and to their property, and to vow to ensure that their trust has not been misplaced. This badge should remind you to protect that trust at all costs. In the end, to an outsider, the badge may be a simple piece of metal engraved with symbolism and polished to a bright luster. To those who wear it, it embodies who we are and what we stand for. In addition to that, Firefighter Howard will also receive his permanent badge in exchange, or his permanent helmet shield in exchange for his probationary shield.
he's an EMT, so just go straight in. Congratulations. Chief Wolf, you got quite a bit of this program here.
Mayor, council, wanted to come before you tonight and provide some recognition for some officers and some investigators on an incident that occurred on April 16th. It exemplifies the professionalism and the teamwork of the police department and how it takes a group of individuals to be able to resolve a set of circumstances. On the morning of April 16th at 7:07 in 16 seconds, the Red Oak Police Department received a call of a robbery in progress at the CVS store. Officers responded within 8 seconds of that call coming out. That's after the robbery suspect had already left, but within 8 seconds of us receiving the call, officers were on scene and beginning the initial investigations of this robbery. An individual went into the store. Ultimately, it was determined that he acted like he was brandishing a weapon and robbed the clerk of some cash and some other items and left the scene. The responding officers, in this case, one of the more significant ones was Sergeant Trim. He arrived on scene, was able to review some video, and then use the technology that we've requested through council and that we have at our disposal via the flock cameras that read the license plates, to be able to take the description that he had from the video of the store, compare that to video that actually hit one of our flock cameras, and develop some preliminary intelligence information on the robbery suspect. That information was subsequently turned over to two of the investigators, Investigator Jalen Merrick and Investigator Steve Nelson, and they were able to work up an intelligence packet on the suspect based on the information that Sergeant Trim was able to provide. That resulted in some surveillance being done, some information and intelligence being gathered again through the systems and the equipment that you provide us, which allowed us to be able to positively identify the suspect. Later that night, we received another call of a robbery in progress at the Tiger Mart, the Exxon Tiger Mart on Harris. Officers responded, and within a minute of that call coming out, they were able to acquire information. They were able to surmise that it was most likely the same individual. Officer Pettit responded to the area and actually proceeded beyond our city limits in an effort to try and locate the suspect. He was able to locate that suspect in an adjoining city, who was stopped at another convenience store. It's unknown at that time if he was going to commit another robbery or not. He confronted the suspect and ultimately was able to take him into custody after a very brief foot pursuit. This type of teamwork is not uncommon in the police department, but I wanted to take a moment to express to the council that your continued investment in the organization and the teamwork that exists between the departments within the organization allow us to be able to, while an unfortunate set of circumstances, 2 robberies in one day, which is an anomalous occurrence for us. It's uncommon. We don't have a lot of violent crime like that, and we enjoy a very minimal violent crime rate in Red Oak. We were able to resolve this and capture that suspect. As a result of the actions of all of the officers involved, we were able to clear a total of 12 robberies that this person had committed in Dallas, Cedar Hill, and Red Oak. And it's because of that type of teamwork and the actions that these officers portrayed daily that allowed us to be able to do this. And I wanted to be able to present each one of the officers that I named one of our numbered chief coins as a token of my appreciation for the job that they've done. So I can have all 4 of you guys stand up here, please. Present chief coin number 9, chief coin number 10, 11, and 12 to the officers. Those don't get handed out very often. You have to earn those to get them in the department. And it was because of their actions, their conduct, and their commitment to the safety of this community that I felt it warranted giving these gentlemen these chief coins. So they're very few in number, and they're very special for me to be able to hand out.
Could you identify the men, Chief?
Absolutely. It's Investigator Jalen Merrick, K-9 Officer Matthew Pettit, Investigator Steve Nelson, and Sergeant Andy Trim. The group has selected Jalen Merrick to give a speech.
Oh, he's.
Come on, Jalen.
Should have turned that dog.
Again,
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you,
unfortunately, our canine car was down and he was in an airline crate in the back of the car. So he didn't have an opportunity, or that would have been a perfect chance.
Yeah, that's right.
Another time.
Yeah.
But again, gentlemen, thank you for the job that you do every day and the work that you put in as a team on this. It means a lot to the organization and it means a lot to the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
gentlemen. Go ahead, Wolf.
So I have one more introduction. Again, we're still hiring for the vacancies we have in the police department. We were recently able to steal one away from Waxahachie. Jennifer, if you want to come up. This is Jennifer Sowell. She comes to us from Waxahachie. She grew up in North Houston and moved to Waxahachie in 2002. She is the proud mother of a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old. She's also the proud mother of 2 cats and 3 dogs. She includes horse riding, rock climbing, and nearly anything outdoors. Prior to employment with Red Oak, she worked in Waxahachie as an officer. She has an associate's degree in criminal justice as well as an associate's degree in sociology. And she's looking forward to finishing her bachelor's in criminal justice. And we're pleased to have her. She's doing an absolutely fantastic job. I'll go ahead and speak to a case that happened today, very briefly with not a lot of detail. But she was able to take a very large quantity of drugs and weapon off the street today. When I say a large quantity of drugs, it's not street level. Well, it's not street level or user quantities. She was able to take that off the street today in one of her contacts. And that speaks to the level of her capability and the level of her trainer as well. And so we're very pleased to have her and we look for her to do good things.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Chief Wolf.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem, you want to handle these proclamations? Let's do it together.
Yes, sir. we can.
Let's do it together. We'll go down.
Always be prepared.
So part of the task of the mayor and council is we get to make some proclamations based on various times of the year. And actually, this is National Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week. And it is authorized by Congress and the President of the United States. They have designated May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which follows as Police Week. As you could tell through what Chief Wolf had shared with us, police officers, as you know, as firefighters, provide extreme service to help keep our community safe. And we are, we as the council and I as mayor call upon all citizens of the Red Oak and upon all patriotic civil educational organizations to observe the week of May 12th through the 18th as National Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all people may join in commemorating police officers past and present who by their faith and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves I'm sorry, help me. Invaluable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. And it's our honor that we can present this to you, and please share that with all our officers present and in the future and past. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief Blanton. The emergency medical EMS. So this too is by declaration to be able to recognize the EMS week as May 19th through the 25th. And this is for the emergency medical service systems and all first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained public members of the public, and others out of the hospital medical care providers, you know, saving lives. And that's the what you embodied and what you actually read with the symbolism for the badge. And it's with our honor that we get to recognize and proclaim that May 19th through the 25th as Emergency Medical Service Week. And the theme this year is honoring our past, forging our future, and reminding us to acknowledge the foundational work for those who came before us, while also striving to build and lead the EMS system we had envisioned for our future. Thank you very much, Chief. National Public Works. Excuse me. Mr. Williams.
Invite our construction inspector.
Excellent.
Superintendent.
Excellent. Why don't you introduce both of them again?
So Sergio Hernandez, our construction inspector, probably the hardest working man in the city as far as public works is concerned. And Kyle Sugg, our public works superintendent.
Excellent.
Second part.
Glad to have them. So May 19th through 25th is National Public Works Week. And the proclamation is that we urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contribution they make to protect our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all of us. The people who work behind the scenes but keep everything going. And we thank you for all that you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this is, do we have any of the motorcycle, who rides a motorcycle? Well, good. How cool. Why don't y'all come up here? Here we go. Come on up, Mr. Flannery. So this is, you guys are hard to see, but we want to make sure that you're safe. And May is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. And y'all do everything right. You have your lights on all the time. Sometimes we as citizens get stuck on our phone when we're not supposed to. We don't take that time to check that blind spot. I just urge that our community become aware of the inherent dangers involved in operating a motorcycle and give the operators, you guys, the respect of the road they deserve, and to remember to share the road, look twice for motorcycles. So this is the month of May 2024, and Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. First item of business is business number 1, and that's consider adoption of resolution number 24-037R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, canvassing the returns of a general election held on May 4th, declaring the results and providing for the election of mayor, councilman place 1, councilman place 3, providing a severability clause, providing an effective date. So in front of me, these came, okay. So this is certified by Jenna Anya, who is the election administrator. And it's a stamped, sealed return that says, I, Jenna Anya, Ellis County Elections Administrator, do hereby certify the following results, the following official results to be true and correct tally for the May 4th, 2024 election results for the canvassing authority. Precincts counted were 10, registered voters were 10,617, ballots cast 511, voter turnout 4.81%. And she signed that with her stamp. Is it something I need to read each one officially? Okay. What else do I do? Oh, okay. So we need to adopt this and adopt this resolution. Do y'all have this in front of you? Okay. So you see those results. Is there any questions that need to be asked?
No questions.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adopt that resolution of 24-037R.
So moved.
And that's Mayor Pro
Second.
Tem Drake
Second.
and Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Drake, aye.
Smith, aye. All right, that passes 5-0. We turn it over to Ms. Stevens.
Yes.
Okay.
If I can have, Mr. Franklin, Mayor, and Mr. Miller to come up.
Yeah. I know. In there.
I'm still back here.
So we're gonna do the statement of office first. And then the oath of office, we're gonna do the statement of officer together. So I'll just say I.
You need to broadcast that?
No, it's really just for y'all's
Okay.
information, yeah.
Listen close.
I have a loud mouth. So you'll do the statement together, so you'll just insert your name. I say I. And then the oath of office, however, I'm gonna do that individually. So I have a cheat sheet if anybody wants it. Okay. There's no shame. Okay, now we're ready. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Mark Stanfield.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I have not directly or indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly
paid, offered, promised to pay,
paid, offered, promised to pay,
contributed, or promised to contribute
contributed, or promised to contribute
any money or thing of value,
any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public office or employment
for the giving or withholding
for the giving or withholding
of a vote
of a vote
at the election
at the election
at which I was elected,
at which I was elected,
or as a reward
or as a reward
to secure my appointment or confirmation,
to secure my appointment or confirmation,
whichever the case may be,
whichever the case may be.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Wonderful. And now we will do your oath individually. Mayor, shall I start with you?
Sure.
Raise your right hand. I
Mark Stanfield,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Mayor, City of Red Oak,
of Mayor, City of Red Oak,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state,
of the United States and this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Welcome. Raise your right hand. I
I, Willie Frank,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of council member, place one,
of council member place one
of the city of Red Oak,
of the city of Red Oak,
of the state of
of the
Texas,
state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Ricardo Miller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Council Member Place 3
of Council Member Place 3,
of the City of Red Oak
City of Red Oak,
of the State of
of the
Texas,
State of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, of the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Did you come up here to get photos?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
And I appreciate
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, it's the transfer.
It is.
So we'd like to say again, thank you to Mayor Pro Tem, ex-person, William Drake for your service, and Godspeed, and thank you for what you've done for the city.
Thank you, sir. It has been an honor.
Thank you. Sir?
Welcome.
I am gonna say, Mr. Flannery, thank you for the, integrity that this campaign was, run on. It was a very close margin. I appreciate you calling issues that, we as a council need to look at and, continue to fight for citizens. But thank you for, the high degree of, running a campaign. So thank you, sir. Okay. So we're at the time for citizens' comments. And we didn't have anybody sign up for those. Was there anybody that wished to or didn't know that they needed to sign in beforehand? Okay. All right, we will move on. No, I'm sorry.
I think we have one.
No. Okay, all right. So next order of business is what we call consent agenda. Consent agenda are items that are considered routine in nature, can be acted upon in one motion. We have been briefed on it, other than Councilman Miller. Councilman Miller, you did receive a packet, and so you were able to review this. Did you have any specific questions that you didn't quite understand or that we need to kind of catch up? For instance, one of them might have been, is this the, trying to think of where that was, the ETJ one? Is that, okay, okay, all right. So hearing, is there anything that needs to be pulled?
No, sir. I've been fully informed.
Okay. Okay. Is it entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, and I'm really flustered right now.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right, and that's Councilman Lightfoot. Second was Councilman Franklin. And if I call you Councilman Drake, please forgive me. And now we had three people that were bald in here, and so.
You're not qualified to make that joke.
No, but it's not by any offense. So that passes, those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Goodman, aye. Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Carried. All right. Item 10, so that was items 2 through 9. Item 10, consider adoption of resolution 24-043, City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, approving the annual comprehensive financial report audit by Patilio, Brown and Hill LLP, which is attached here to and incorporated herein as Exhibit A, providing for filing in the office of the city secretary and providing the effective date. Ms. Flatt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Cameron Aaron with our Auditor's Office, Patillo, Brown and Hill, and he'll give a brief presentation, some high-level comments from our audit report.
Good evening, council members. Cameron Aaron with Patillo, Brown and Hill. I'd like to thank y'all again for choosing our firm as your auditors for the year. Everything went smoothly. I know we've had a lot of discussion of what's kind of already in the report between us and Gloria, and I would like to thank y'all and the finance team, everyone that we've had to talk to and ask a million questions, ask them for a million documents that we need to pull for our testing. Everyone was willing to talk to us, get us the information that we needed in a timely manner, answered all of our questions. And we're well aware of how many times we have to go through this, every year. It's always a pain. But we're very thankful for the team that we were working with. Everything went really smoothly this year, as it always does. And so you should have two items that we are delivering tonight. There is a bigger packet, which is the audited financial statements, and a separate letter, which is a communication letter. I'm not going to go too much into detail what the communication letter is. It's basically what it talks about is kind of our responsibilities if we encountered any issues during our audit, getting information, that sort of thing. But if there was any issues, they would be written in there. And we can choose to do this orally or in a written form, and we just find it easier to be in written form for it's everyone easier for everyone. So jumping into the audited financial statements on page 1 is our independent auditors report. And it's not the first page in the booklet. It's like 4 or 5 pages, some preliminary pages to get to it. But it is page 1 down at the bottom. It's got our opinion up at the top that we've audited the financial statements, the respective notes that go along with those financial statements, that they present fairly in all material respects. This is a clean opinion that we are providing on the financial statements that is free of any material misstatement. And that's the best, the highest, cleanest opinion that we can get. So congratulations to the finance team and the city as well. Other than that, the other opinion that we are giving, there's one or another letter at the very back that talks, very last page starting on page 94 and 95. And it basically, what we're required to do as your auditors is to assess risk of the city overall. We have to test internal controls, make sure things are implemented properly and working effectively. And so if we found any material misstatements with the financial statements, any control deficiencies, they would be listed out in the back of the report for you. But we did not find any internal control deficiencies this year. For the year end of September 30th, 2023. The other thing I'd like to highlight for y'all, as well as the citizens, is starting on page 18. So page 18 of the report, it's the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And these are your permanent funds, some special revenue funds. And these are what's mostly being discussed, the general fund, major revenue sources like property taxes coming in. Most of the expenditures that happen for the city are within here, department expenditures, and that general fund balance at the bottom of page 18 is 14.7 million. And that's in our opinion is a healthy fund balance when compared to the total expenditures in that fund for the year in the general fund. And so normally we'd like to see somewhere between 3 and 6 months fund balance to cover those expenditures. So you are just over that, which indicates a healthy things are money and funds are being managed properly. And so just in case for some reason that the city wasn't able to bring in any funds, any income, that they would be able to continue to operate for that amount of time going forward. So you're looking about 6 to 7 months right in there. So that's a healthy fund balance where we want to be. Other than that, I think last year y'all had a single audit that we had to do some extra testing for since y'all received ARPA funds, and we're continuing to spend those funds. And last year it went over $750,000, so it didn't reach that threshold this year. So that wasn't an extra deliverable that we had this evening. We didn't have to do the separate testing. If y'all had any questions for me, hopefully me or Gloria, together we can help answer your questions, or if you had any questions after the fact.
Is there a bond rating?
Your bond rating, I'm not sure that is part of the financial statement.
Double A minus.
Do what?
It's double A minus. So, any other questions on this?
No question.
I just had one. You identified some significant risks and the reason why you looked
Oh.
into those risks. Did
In
you
the separate
give an
letter?
Outcome? Yeah, in the
Okay,
supplemental letter.
yep, I can explain that.
I don't, if you could just tell me where in the report you go through your analysis of those risks. That would be fine. I noted, you noted that you didn't find any deficiencies. I just didn't know
Yes.
the details on the.
So the
risk
significant risks are labeled in the separate letter on page 2. So like I said, we, as auditors, we can't look at everything. We're
Right.
not gonna focus on like petty cash for $50. We're gonna look at the higher end stuff. We're gonna confirm cash directly with third parties. We're gonna do, the different levels that we would assess these risks at. And so, I think a couple of years ago, we're required to communicate those, what we deem to be a higher risk to y'all in our letter. So we're not, that was a separate section last year, and now they're there this year. And so like the first one, we say that, management override of internal controls. That's basically, if you're, as an auditor, that's gonna exist everywhere we go. So it's not something that we deem Red Oak, this to be specific. This is gonna be broad spectrum, that certain controls need to be in place to mitigate that sort of thing, that sort of top-down bullying that kind of stuff. And so when we do our controls and our walkthroughs and our testing, we determined that that risk was low enough that we can rely on those internal controls. So this isn't really, it's not a finding or control issues. The separate one was, it's called SEBITA accounting. It's basically new standards that go into place that are very complicated. That acquire numerous amounts of time to learn the standard, how to properly implement that standard, and to make sure that things get communicated to all the different departments, that sort of thing. And so we determined that something like that could have a material misstatement on the financial statements. And so what the city did, finance and Gloria had to, for this particular one, they had to gather all sorts of different contracts and read through every little one and determine if this kind of contract is going to go fall into this standard. Is it going to be reported properly? Are we catching all the ins and outs? That sort of thing, to make sure they're recorded where they're supposed to be. So that would be another one that we determined to be a significant risk. But those internal controls were brought down to a reasonably low level for us to continue as auditors.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Good, all right. We entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 24-043R.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Smith. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Good night.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That's 5-0. Public, this will be filed in the secretary's office. This report is also submitted to the state, right, for awards, which we're looking forward to. We've had many consecutive years of awards. I'd like to thank Mr. Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I
Mr. Aaron.
apologize. Are you out of the Hillsborough or Waco? or-
Waco.
Okay. Thanks for coming up and presenting this, and thank you for your department and supplying all that information, working hard, and thanks to the city for having everything in control. But citizens, if you care to read that, it will be on site in your office.
Very good report. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, and online. We're modern now.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Some of us are modern. All right, item 11, consider adoption of resolution 24-044R, the city of Red Oak, Texas, creating a capital improvement advisory committee, setting forth the rules for and duties thereof, all in compliance with the impact fee statutes found in chapter 395 of the local government code, making various findings and provisions related to the creation of a capital improvement advisory committee, setting a date for a public hearing, discuss and consider the city's proposed land use assumptions and capital improvements plan, and providing an effective date. Mr. Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This agenda item seeks council's appointment of the Planning and Zoning Board as the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee for the city. That's the acronym for that is CIAC, so it's referred to generally as that. Along with appointing Mr. Casey Hargrove as an ad hoc member to represent the development component on the committee. This also, item also establishes a public hearing date for July 8th, which is a regular scheduled meeting. So any
That's city council July. That's the
July,
public hearing?
yep.
Okay. 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 Anything else?
That's all I have. Take any questions. Think.
And I would point out also that this is something that we have to do on a regular basis. I believe it's every 5 years. We have to go back and update those impact fees by law. So for the water and the sewer impact fees, that's what we're doing. If you recall back during our strategic planning and budgeting, we did determine that we wanted to proceed with the street impact fees as an analysis as well. Obviously, you'll determine if you want to follow through with that or at what rate you do, if you do so. But that would be the one new item. The other two are just the updates.
Any other questions, council?
No question.
So all we're doing today is setting the date for the public hearing,
Setting the date and establishing the
that
P
the
and
P and Z
Z.
will be this committee.
Right.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So that's a resolution. I'll consider adoption of resolution 24-044R.
So moved.
Councilman Lightfoot,
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, I. Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye. Yep, that passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Okay. Item 12, discussion and provide direction for the future use and or renovation of the Red Oak Municipal Center following the facility assessment and conceptual design presentation. Ms. Beasley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you guys are aware, city offices have moved out of the Red Oak Municipal Center. So tonight we're hoping to gain direction from you on the future use of the center. Aaron Babcock is here with Hiddle and Associates Architects. He's going to share highlights from the facility assessment that was included in your packet, as well as walk through the provided conceptual designs. We're hoping that this information sparks some conversation about the potential design and future of the center, and ultimately gaining direction from you on if this is something we should be including in this year's budget planning. So, Aaron.
Mayor, council members, I'm pleased to be with you tonight to walk you through this assessment. I've been working with staff on looking at the existing building, its use specifically as a meeting conference center. So tonight I'm going to walk you through what our assessment was. And then as Alexa had mentioned, we have two general options for converting it into a meeting center with some sub options as part of that. So I know you're all very familiar with the existing building, seeing that it was recently your city hall. As part of our assessment, what I learned, the building was constructed in 2003. It's approximately 14,500 square feet. And overall, it is in very good condition. We looked at all the building systems, from the structural system to mechanical systems to lighting systems. As part of our recommendation for whatever renovation that may take place at that facility, we would tell you the structural systems are in good shape. The electrical and plumbing systems are in good shape. We would recommend the mechanical systems, the specific units be replaced. Being constructed in 2003, they are over 20 years old. They use an older refrigerant and they're nearing end of life. We would have the similar recommendation for the roof. So replacement of existing mechanical units where we would reconfigure the duct work would be our renovation for that, or recommendation for that, excuse me. And the roof is leaking at this point and is near end of life. So we would recommend a replacement of the roof. The lighting fixtures themselves are all fluorescent. New up-to-date lighting for any of the newer areas would be recommended as part of a renovation to meet current standards of LED fixtures. I won't go into the specifics of the building too much with you. I know you're very familiar, but The facility itself, since the city has moved out, in trying to utilize it as a meeting room center, the two large assembly halls are still being utilized, but many of the other spaces, such as the existing council chambers, the existing library, the kitchenette, they are not quite meeting standards of meeting room spaces. They would need some conversion into appropriate types of spaces for the different meeting groups that would come in. The city, in doing this assessment, the idea is you would be targeting, whether it be a wedding or a municipal group coming in or a corporate function, of being able to bring in those groups, have the appropriate functionality for the space. So not only a big group, but maybe breakout areas or smaller meeting spaces for an event type of situation. I'm going to attempt to move forward on this. There we go. Okay. My two general options for you today are a red option and an oak option. They are similar in the sense of what they're trying to accomplish with the building of reconverting the spaces into meeting room areas. The main difference between the two is one expands the building and one does not. I'm going to start with the option that does not. This is the red option. There are two sub options with this dealing with the site. This general site area, it's 121 parking spaces, and this site A option as part of what we're looking at would be leaving the site as is and then renovating the interior. On the upper left, you're going to see that we do an associated cost with that. What I'm showing you on the cost is a breakdown of what the site cost would be, what the building renovation would be, as well as what any fees, contingency, and furniture. So this is an all-in project budget, not necessarily construction cost. As part of this assessment, we did put a cost value towards replacement of furniture to bring that up to a current standard that would be needed for events and meeting spaces within. So to give you an idea, we gave you a cost range on this. The text is small, so excuse me. We were 2.9 to 3.9. That's the general range that we're giving you for the project cost of this first option. The sub option to this would be to add a courtyard as part of the site. So this red option, site B, the genesis of the courtyard for this is this gives the meeting room complex another programmable space, meaning that we would have an enclosed courtyard located to the southeast corner, which this was the existing staff parking lot, if you know the building fairly well. This would be an enclosed or proposed enclosed walled off courtyard, large enough for events. So for example, if we had a wedding, they could actually have the wedding ceremony outside and the reception inside, or the reverse. They could have the wedding inside and the reception outside. So it just adds to the programmable value of the building itself and the different spaces that can be utilized, the different functions that can be utilized within. This does add to the cost, obviously, but it does bring a pretty large courtyard in. This courtyard, tables and chairs seating wide, to give you an idea, you're close to a 300 capacity at tables and chairs. So it is a fairly large space. The internal reworkings of the space, and I'm going to try to use the mouse to help you guys navigate. So the existing building, as you know it, the main entry stays the same. You have that nice rotunda that you enter into, and you have the restrooms off either side. All those functional spaces stay the same. And then the large assembly hall has some minor font modifications to it. The movable partition wall is not working properly, so that would be replaced. And then we would flatten out the walls on the east and west portions and add current AV systems to upgrade that area, as well as lighting and finishes. The other programmable spaces, where I'm going to move off to the west side, where the old council chambers and some offices were, we would take out those internal walls and create another large meeting venue there. To give you an idea of capacity for all these, the two assembly halls together with large banquet tables that you're seeing here, this is a capacity of around 140. And then just chair seating in here, like a classroom setup, you're somewhere in that same range. You're about 140 seats within that area. Some of the secondary functions to make this a workable building would be table and chair storage. You'd have an office suite for Alexa and her group that are overseeing this. The library gets converted into a large conference center. You'd have 2 smaller conference rooms. And then where the existing break room and kitchenette were, we would expand that into 1 large catering kitchen so that if you do bring events in right now, the kitchens are really not set up for a catering type of event. So this would upgrade those to a catering type event. In this scheme, we do have 2 individual toilets added to this because we are adding to the number of people that can fit within the building with these large meeting rooms. Our plumbing count actually does go up. So we are having to add some plumbing fixtures to the building. In this scenario, we're proposing the women's gets expanded by 2 fixtures, and then we have 2 individual restrooms. The oak option is going to be very similar to the red option. The difference with this one is the building does get expanded. So from an overall cost perspective of this one, you're looking at 4.3 to 5.7, somewhere in that range. Because this does add onto the building and we're adding capacity, we are increasing the parking. So down here to the southwest corner, we're adding some parking. We do lose some for the courtyard. So we're adding it back on that side to get the total capacity to 153 in this scheme. Internally, very similar layout. You're coming in the entrance, office to the right, conference room to the left, restrooms stay the same but get expanded. But the main difference is where you're seeing this red line go across, that is where the existing window wall is. We would expand that window wall out. So we're not actually expanding roof structure in this option. We're just expanding because that's an overhang, an existing overhang back there. We would just be pushing the windows out to that exterior level, increasing the size of the room. The goal was a 300 capacity room. This gets us close. This is about 250 in the configuration that you're seeing as is. Some nuanced difference between this and the other one, we did have to add some additional restrooms. So we do have a women's restroom, a men's restroom, a woman's restroom, and then the table storage and kitchenette functionally are the same as the similar plan that you saw before, just got reconfigured in this one based upon the spaces that we had available. To give you a general idea, we did overlay some photos. So the expansion back here that I'm talking about in the oak option, we're just moving the glass out, but that existing south wall stays where it is. If you know where that existing staff parking lot area was to the south and east corner, this would be the walled off courtyard area. The service drive in any of these options, we would be taking out the drive up window and the canopy, but we'd be utilizing where the utility billing drop off was as a surface entrance in any of these options. We'd be relocating the mechanical units from a ground level up on top of the roof. Since we're redoing the roof, we'd have the opportunity to relocate those. And then generally we have some dollars within the budget to clean the brick, enhance the exterior, but we wouldn't be making any changes to it. Internally, we'd be adding AV walls, flattening that wall out, adding a counter, adding new AV, but the rotunda area, the wood, the wall systems would all remain. We would just paint, do new floor finishes. So a lot of the building is just upgraded with finishes, whereas the spaces that aren't functional right now that need to be changed to meet meeting room capacity, that's where your major renovations would be. With that, I know that was quick and brief, so I can go back to any of the slides if you guys have questions about any of these options. I do know from talking with staff, their recommendation would be the red option, which is no expansion with the courtyard. So it's site option B, red. Yes, sir.
What percentage of that building is full today?
What would you say? Well, the 2 meeting rooms are utilized, and then some of the office space are. So, I mean, you're probably maybe a little over 50%, but not much, because many of the spaces just can't be utilized
for meeting rooms currently.
Councilmember Goodwin, are you asking about the usable space? Or are you actually asking about the number of rentals we're having?
Usable space.
Okay.
What percentage of it's full? I know we need to clean that thing out, get some offices, open that thing up. That's evident.
And I did have a
It's really
question about the
you.
rentals as well, if you want to answer that.
Yes, sir. So, and Alexa can give you the data on it. I know we have actually expanded the rental availability. And, last I heard, we were booking out a year in advance, for the large meeting rooms on Saturdays, and Sundays as well, I believe. So, the facility is being used heavily on the weekends for, various types of events. And so when we were, meeting with Mr. Babcock, we were talking about making the building more efficient, more usable, and then also the potential of not only renting the 2 large rooms, but having the availability to have that extra large meeting room where you could have multiple events going on at the same time if we needed to.
Any idea how much revenue we're pulling from that thing annually?
Yes, sir.
So currently, for this upcoming fiscal 2024 year, our estimated revenue is 60,000. My mic, I think, went out. $60,000 is our current revenue. Now that's with just those 2 rooms are the only spaces that we're able to rent. We did, because of this study, do a recent evaluation on our rental rates. Our current rental rate is sitting at about 3 cents a square foot. We've done a comparable study. Other venues that are comparable are up to 7 cents a square foot. So we definitely could look at increasing our current rates. And then we have those potential 2 additional spaces that we could rent out as well. So I don't want to give you an exact number. It is very dependent. Do you do a half room, full room? Do you add on? There's so many different factors. You can add on extra hours, all of that kind of stuff. But we anticipate obviously a pretty good increase of what we're doing right now is 60,000.
I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry, you finished?
No, I'm finished.
A couple of questions. One is being the highest and best use for this location. Considering we have a developer basically across the street who's in the same line of business, I do have a concern that us offering competition for our developers could be a problem for future development. My second concern is, have we done any type of studies to make sure that this is the highest and best use for this property?
So as for interest in the facility, I can answer that question for you.
Okay.
So currently in the last 6 months, since we have opened up for all available rental dates, we have actually gotten over 250 inquiries for the rental. That's more than we can accommodate currently. We only have those 2 rooms, and of course, everybody wants Saturday. So Saturday books the quickest. So the most rentals right now that we're looking at, if we rent out every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that's just we're talking just weekends, we would obviously have the potential to do more. If we rent it out every Friday and Saturday and Sunday that is currently available at that facility right now, as is, we could only accommodate about 115 rentals a year. Also remember that facility is used for elections. So we lose 6 to 8 weeks a year for elections that we can't rent out because they're using the pits and the Reagan room. This would help accommodate that by providing an alternative location at the end of the building that elections could use. And in addition, we could still rent out that ballroom.
Okay. And
As for the other question, I don't have the answer to that.
So the other thing that we have done, Councilman, is with the retail area that we're looking at that EDC actually owns, there where Tajan and so forth. All of the different retail concepts that we've been dealing with developers and so forth have relied upon this being this type of a use. Partly what they are relying on is the ability to bring in hotels and so forth to actually go along with this. So we haven't gone out and done a full study of what's the highest and best use for the property. But we do have a lot of information that is revolved around this being that use and how it has worked with the retail development community and what they're looking at.
thank you for that. I do think taking the route of is this a public hearing, or this just?
This is
This is
to be able to give direction how to proceed. So
Okay.
it's free to talk.
So my direction would be to take the route of a convention center. And to, with development coming centered around our natural asset, which is the pond, the restaurant, future retail. I would recommend we take the route of a convention center, and less of an event center. I think in taking that route, it gives us more opportunity to have people come in Monday through Friday and not just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So what's, explain to me the difference.
So from the sound of it, the event center, it just basically, to my knowledge, weddings.
It is not. So we do a wide range. Now, if you're talking specifically conventions or conferences, we don't do a ton of those right now.
Right.
But you've got weddings, quinceañeras. We do partner with the chamber on a number of their events that are held there, the Business Expo. So it would have the potential to expand on some of that. There are birthday parties, there are galas, there are nonprofit, for-profit, different types of events, fundraisers, that type of stuff, as well as we have a number of schools that use it for the end of the year banquets.
Mhm.
And as well as we've had prom recently there for a smaller ISD as well.
Sure. So I misspoke, not necessarily weddings, but more some celebrations.
Yes.
I'll propose our vision go more towards how do we get corporations and how do we get business to come here Monday through Friday and host their events, host their trainings, host whatever. I mean, even police departments, how do we get everyone to come here Monday through Friday? And while they're here, get some gas, get some groceries, go see a movie. How do we get that traffic?
Good point.
I mean, I felt like at least some of the design options here do allow for that, probably promote that better than it does today, at least.
That we agree with, yeah.
I mean, it's not a terrible concept if it's a convention center like Monday through Friday, and then a weekend is still an event center, because you're not gonna have as many corporate conventions over the weekend, so.
Sure.
I mean, some kind of multi-use like that. I mean, it sounds like that's probably the way that you're envisioning it going at some level. When you talk about the breakout rooms for offices and all of that, you know, the larger like educational type area. Just remember the other picture you had where the old council chamber is more of a classroom setting. It sounds like it can kind of accommodate similarly both of those types of.
Sure, I agree. I agree with the overall concept. Just my feedback would be let's find a way to attract Monday to Friday business and whatever that looks like, if that's initial investment to expand. And
I don't think it's excluded.
Not at all.
I mean, I think somebody, you know, as we continue to grow and develop, I think if somebody wanted to use it during the week, it's available.
Yes,
It's
it is
not
right
that-
now during the week. It is available. It's just limitations with just having those two rooms. There aren't really a lot of breakout choices right now. You know, should we choose, you guys give the direction to go under and move forward with renovations? That renovation time would also give our current facility staff person, you know, the time to start attracting those type of small meetings, conferences, being able to create business plans and start targeting those people that may be looking for those centers that typically look 18 months to 2 years in advance
Right.
for their next meeting location. It would give her the opportunity to do that during that time frame. to
I agree.
attract
But
those.
that's my feedback. Let's not think 2024, let's think 2044. And whatever that imagination is, because you have the imagination and the vision, let's cater towards that crowd.
So again, in the spirit of giving direction, it looked like based on the options that range from about 2.9 million up to about 5.7 million. So you're looking between $3 and $6 million, and you're saying, you know, what, is this something we want to look at for this year? So I do think this is something that we want to look at, one, from a revenue standpoint, because the payback on that's pretty long term, even if just like you doubled what was out there, but it still is a revenue increase. But I think this has a good, you know, to Todd's point, a good economic development angle to it. So I would like to see some renovations. I don't know if it's 3 million or it's 6 million, but you know, in that range is not that's not a huge range for us to like envision. So without me saying, you know, I like option A, B, C, or D, I think it's definitely worth considering in this budget period. Whatever the proposal you guys think fits best.
So,
But based on that, are we getting calls to go to that 300 number?
So we have not gotten as many calls to go to the 300 number as we have for running the venue in general. So we do funnel some. I don't want to give you a percentage and it be an inaccurate number. But we do funnel some for ISD foundation events. We can accommodate them. And some other, occasionally I want to have a 300-person wedding. But it's not as many as we just wish we had more space to rent out. So.
Cause that was what, a little over $1 million difference to blow that window out.
That's right.
So that-
That's right.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
a lot to justify there.
And that's exactly why our recommendation was leave the square footage of the building the same, but look at doing some programming outdoors so you could have the multiple venues, you know, making those rooms larger. To Councilmember Franklin's point, I think that the AV changes, the orientations of the room, the stacking of the walls, all of that opens it up more for business corporate type meetings than what we currently have. You know, if you'll remember, when we have a meeting in that room now, those projectors are on the end. You can't use the whole room. You have to use only one side to face the projector. And so the way that Mr. Babcock has designed it is that you would have media walls on the end, so you could actually have a true center of the room, and then use the full room for that meeting. So I think all those options are being considered as part of the plan. Also, real quick, I don't want to step on anything that Mr. Babcock said, but at the beginning of the study, we had not replaced the roof. That work has been completed now, so the roof is 100% replaced. So just want to put that on the record, and that saved a couple $100,000 by doing that now, so. But we did the roof in a way that they could still move mechanicals up on the roof. And there may be some engineering and some structural support required to put those mechanicals up there. But the new roof membrane has a 20-year warranty on it and can be modified.
Yes, everybody that's been in that thing knows that thing has got to be changed. It's chopped up right now. It just doesn't make any sense the way it is. So it's obvious that we've got to do something about it if we want to rent the thing out. And that's my contribution. I think we ought to look at Brett first.
So I'll take a different stance on it. I think if you have that opportunity to go ahead and expand that, to take that outside porch, bust those windows out further, do it all now, because you could always trim down to that smaller room if you had to. Right now, yeah, you're right. The Education Foundation, it's a shame, and I'll use them just as an example, going to Midlothian, because that conference center can hold the number of people. Why not keep it here locally? And anyway, it's only money, so what the heck? And sure, our EDC president would love to stand up and speak to how much money that they could fund to this to help grow. And the biggest thing Mr. Hughley, I do want you to speak, but the biggest thing that if we this was the biggest thing that kind of killed the ISD. When they abandoned or left a building, they took it as, and not that we've abandoned this building, that building. They said, you know, the taxpayer paid for that, and yet it's not being utilized to its fullest potential. And so, not saying anybody's saying that right now, but I think it has to be remodeled, expanded, updated, and marketed like the way you're doing it. And why not make it as big as we can make it? We've gotten creative with funding before, and so that's why I'm asking Mayor Hughley to address that. So
I would say, but before Mr. Hughley gets up, the reason that we have not looked at expanding that back wall is because it's rented 100% of the time. It's not like we are turning someone down and it's sitting vacant.
Yeah.
So just by adding that additional money in and expanding it, it's not really gonna buy you that much because it is full period regardless of how it is. Plus, we have now the extra banquet halls. So that's kind of the approach that we took from it. You know, we obviously need to do something, but we need to do it in a way that actually is achieving a goal. Now, if a goal is a full-blown convention center, I'm not even sure that this works.
Yeah, that's
for a
more so
convention
an
center.
analogy.
Yeah.
Something to look
So,
toward.
so trying to get more people in during the week, I
Bingo.
think that doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing with the building itself. I think that is probably more reaching out to the business community and trying to bring folks into it.
Assuming the structure accommodates.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I think the changes that we are making here will help that, because right now, if you go over there, you can have a meeting in the big rooms and that's all you can do.
Right.
You can't have 2 or 3 classes going on at one time. By making these changes, we'll be able to do that. But for those weekend events, I don't think we're buying anything by putting more money in to expand that wall out, because it's already full.
Well,
Regardless.
I would
And I
say-
understand trying to bring in our local folks.
Well, but I would also say engineer it, the HVAC for that expansion, you know, and have it up there. And if by chance we see it's an easy expansion, you don't have to replace the HVAC. I do think the addition of the restrooms are a big thing. I don't know how many stalls are in the ladies. I haven't been in there lately, but you know, sometimes the guys are full and especially at these events and so I love the conceptual plans that you had proposed and thank you very much. And I think the consensus of the direction from the council was to try to work on things so it could be modified this year, or start this year.
So I think that the 2 pieces of direction that I think we probably need is, number one is, do you want to do the outside patio area?
I like that.
Yes.
I
Okay,
think that enhances it as an event center.
okay, and then the other piece is, do you want to do the full expansion all the way out to the existing patio or keep the same building footprint?
Same building.
Well, I think it's all the same building footprint. It's
Blow
whether
out
you
that
bust
window.
out the glass.
It is.
Right,
And so,
But-
okay.
enclosed building.
I would say, okay, but engineer the HVAC for that.
And that's an easy, we oversize that, we can make that work because that's not,
So-
that's not costing you that much. to do
Right.
that. That's correct.
That's what I would say. If you want to keep the glass where it is, but do the outside patio thing, add those,
Your room.
restrooms, bust out the old chamber council area, your office, and kiss it goodbye. So I didn't quite understand the difference of why you had to get away from the kitchen between the oak and the red, for the service, the banquet area.
Adding additional restroom spaces because you're adding on the additional.
That's right. So we had to expand the count of our restroom because we had more people in there and that precipitated us having to put some table and chair storage over there that we didn't in the red option.
And
So how full is our little storage building and would that have to go away?
It's full.
And Mayor Council, the other reason of the locations were, Mr. Babcock was trying to be as cost effective as possible. So those are areas where existing plumbing and sewer connections are, so that he could work those restrooms in those areas.
No, I guess my point was I like the banquet kitchen with the red option outdoor court.
Right.
So I guess the storage, which would have been Karen's off or the old meeting room, is that the brown?
Yes, sir.
And even in this red option, we have the catering kitchen here with direct access out to the
Okay,
courtyard.
Yeah,
So that's why that courtyard got placed where it did. It has direct access off of the meeting room itself. And then it also has direct
Yeah,
access off.
and I
the
love,
kitchen.
and I love the 2 bathrooms for the ladies or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then the extra table storage makes sense. So, okay, yeah.
What kind of time frame?
Yes, sir.
In this, are y'all gonna consider the parking as well? The park coexists with the building. And sometimes we get really, really full in that parking lot. Not that with events or whatever and the timing, but I was just making sure that we consider any parking options that we could to add to this as well, please.
So is that where the porta potties are? Is that gonna be parking? Or down to the bottom,
Well, so the-
southeast?
So the area down there where the existing dumpster enclosure is, all of that will be reconfigured because we didn't want the dumpster enclosure in view of the new outdoor area.
Okay.
And so we were trying to open up that outdoor area more towards the lake or the
Okay.
pond from the viewpoint. And then if you'll notice on the west side of the building, there's additional parking added.
And there's two options with that. We can get you up to 132, or we can get you to 153. Depending upon what you.
Kyle, you're thinking more on the east side of it though. for
Yeah.
parking.
Actually, on the west side, where he's got it right there on that plan would be
That's
great. That
fine.
would actually help. Not only because you'd give more room to the facility, but I was just saying that, sometimes when you've got a good capacity in that parking lot, people are parking up and down the streets. And it would be nice to have some additional parking in that area.
Okay, so red option B with the oak parking plan,
Sure.
or not?
Yeah, you're.
Is that right? Except for keep the glass where it is.
Keep the glass word into it.
Council good?
I think
Good.
parking lot is a good idea and option.
Yeah,
Option red.
I'm not ready to commit to any of the details, but I think the overall.
I think
if
we're heading
you're
the right
saying that we
direction.
don't need additional, seat space, then that's fine too, but I do like the outdoor courtyard area. I do like
No, they're talking
some other
about
parking
area
options.
in
Sounds
this
like the
area.
park needs it too. So I mean, all that's fine. Just, I don't know about all the other details. You got it in your mind exactly what you want. I don't know that I'm there yet,
That's gonna
but
be-
I'm supportive of
that's
doing
not-
something with that.
that's gonna be helpful.
Would we have like a construction timeframe based on your knowledge?
So a project like this, I would say you're probably
Yeah.
in the 10-month range, and that's assuming, if you come in there and they completely vacate, you may be able to get it done quicker than that, but you're probably looking around 10 months from start to finish.
So it'd
And that
be,
impacts the rentals in that area
yes,
too.
Absolutely.
so it'd be totally shut down for 10 months.
Yes.
It would. That's gonna be the quickest way to do the construction.
Sure. Well, thank you. Those are some great options. It's a lot better than a fire station. Oops, sorry. We had those glass bays and they could park in the backside and run around, so. Yeah, and utilize it. And that's, sounds great. Thank you, ma'am, for bringing that. Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you.
time.
You bet.
All right. Item 13, conduct a public hearing and consider ordinance number 24-020 of the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map, City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 66 Revised 5 to Planned Development 66 Revised 6 to allow for the use and construction and maintenance of the data center and auxiliary structures on the property described as Lot 2, Block A, 39.915 plus or minus acres of the Benjamin Fraser Survey Abstract Number 371, Edmund Shirley Survey Abstract Number 1013, and John Spoon Survey Abstract 1014, property located approximately 1,000 feet north of Ovilla Road and east of North Austin Boulevard in the city of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein, providing a site plan, landscape plan, elevation plan, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit B through D respectively, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. This is case ZC 24-08 requested by Alamo Missions. Dr. Emma.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The applicant is requesting to postpone this case to the next meeting.
Okay, So this is a public hearing though, and we're gonna open the public hearing and continue it. But we also do have, so we'll open the public hearing first, and that time is what is that? I can't read.
8:32.
8:32. We'll open it. And we do have online, Mr. Matt Cox of, and my understanding, Mr. Cox, is that you do want to speak to this anyway?
Yes, Emma and I spoke earlier today, and we want to iron out a few things before we actually take a vote. So we would like to table this item to the next meeting, please.
Okay. All right, but we're leaving this public hearing open, correct?
If anybody else wants to speak.
Yep. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak to this item?
They'd be able to in the next meeting when we open it again if they wanted to,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they're not limited to this today.
Okay. So can I get a motion to continue this to next time?
So moved.
Councilman
Second.
Lightfoot. And that meeting will be June 8th,
We just said the next schedule.
June 10th.
June 10th. Councilman Lightfoot, can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Franklin, those in favor of continuing this public hearing until our June 10th meeting.
Franklin, I.
Goodwin, aye.
Miller, I.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0 as a continuation.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
Thank you very much.
Item 14, conduct a public hearing and consider ordinance number 24-021 of the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from single-family ranchette estates to Plan Development 172, PD 172, for reduced side yard setback requirements on the sites identified as lots 21, 22, 23, Block B of the Hidden Creek Phase 3, in addition to the City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, and addressed as 449, 455, 461 Whispering Way, and the site plans for each said lot are described and depicted in Exhibit A, B, C respectively, which are attached here to and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, and providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, providing an effective date. This is ZC 24-07 requested by Dwayne C. Bryant, Dr. Emma.
Council, this is a request to reduce the side yard setbacks on these three lots here at 449, 455, and 461 Whispering Way. It does have a base zoning district of Ranchette Estates, which requires a 25-foot setback. But the applicant, which is the developer, has been receiving requests to have a wider or larger floor area. So instead of the 2-story, they're going for a 1-story. So it's going to increase the floor plan and make the floor plan larger. So that means that they're going to need more space. So they're requesting to reduce the side yard setbacks from 25 feet to 15 feet. This is a zoning standard, so staff cannot administratively approve this. This is why it's coming in the form of a PD. And it can't be reviewed by the Zoning Board of Adjustments because it's not a word. Yeah, it's not a hardship. So this is why it's coming in the form of a PD. But there are no other proposed changes. They're still going to have to go through the permitting process to make sure that all other building codes, safety codes, any other codes are met.
So
What's the distance again between the houses that they want?
So they're requesting to have a 15-foot setback between the home and the property line. And the original zoning ordinance requires a 25-foot, but it still meets the safety codes because the safety codes requires 10 feet separation between the buildings. But with this, it's going to have a 30 feet, so it's still
30 feet,
meeting,
okay.
yes.
And it also provides for a traditional side entry garage rather than a front entry or adjacent.
I've been over there several times and noticed some fabulous houses they're putting up. It's not some small development, small little homes. Those are big ones. And they're really nice.
So was there a notice sent out? Oh, I'm sorry, let's open the public hearing of this. Open the public hearing at 8:37. Was there anybody here that wishes to speak on this? Entertain a motion to close this public hearing at 8:38.
Second.
Goodwin. Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Good one,
Miller, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
Closes at 8:38. So did notice have to go to the people to the
Yes, sir.
south?
Yes.
Or I assume to the south?
Yeah, to everyone within 200 feet of these 3 lots
Did we
received.
get any feedback?
We did, we got the letters, we got 2 letters in opposition.
Okay. And positive, negative synopsis?
2 letters in opposition.
So where are they located relative to this? If you go back to that map that you actually had.
Type when one person's looking at you, much less does.
I know, right? Sorry.
The one directly behind,
Mhm.
but
Yes,
but the setback is just south, was just side to side, not front to back.
correct.
Okay.
And there's a fence dividing them.
And there's a fence,
Yes.
okay. That's one.
And the other one's next door to that one, 422.
The ones behind it.
The reason for the request is just to make them more marketable. Is that what it is?
Correct.
They just get more interest if they could do a wider single floor. Is that
Right.
what the note said?
With the 1 story.
The
Well, they
original
actually
intent was
have-
to do 2-story.
They actually have buyers that want to build that floor plan though, right?
Correct,
So
yeah.
it's
They've
not just
received,
marketable,
Okay.
they actually have buyers that want to build that and they can't build it at this point.
yeah, people are actually requesting for
They're
it.
trying to accommodate a buyer that's already
Right.
wants the property.
What did those letters complain about?
They didn't put any details.
One says, I don't like the idea, and the other says against.
Nothing, no.
No,
Nothing else, no.
Does it affect
That's good
anything?
enough for me.
It doesn't change the square foot requirement. That's for
No,
that
sir.
ranchette.
Yeah,
They're just putting it all on one floor.
correct. Yeah, 1 story.
Council, any other questions?
I have none.
No questions, just in the world of development, when everyone is pushing to go 2 stories to try to maximize smaller lots and put a lot of houses on one lot, I think the developers willing to build us a better product on 1 story, which takes up more lot. I commend that in the development world, and I think 15 feet is way more than fair.
Yeah, I agree.
So does it require a fence?
So our zoning ordinance doesn't require it. Their HOA document states that if there is going to be a fence, it has to be a minimum of 8 feet on the side yard, but our zoning ordinance doesn't require that. But if they do then put up a fence, then it has to be 8-foot minimum wood side yard fence.
Not 8 foot tall, 6 foot tall, or 8 foot tall?
8
Oh, wow. Front and back.
for the side.
Okay, what about for the back? Does it have?
For the back, for the minimum, For the HOA? Okay, yeah, for the back, yeah.
I just, would they be able to tell that, I guess, over an
Hmm?
8-foot fence? I can barely see over my 8-foot fence.
It
7
would
foot
change the
tall.
fence line, it would change the fence line that connects.
The
to their
back's probably
house.
already done.
The back's probably already done.
If there's a house there, it's probably already done, right?
Okay. Yep, let's call, those in, favor.
I think we gotta do the motion first.
Oh, okay. Entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 24-021.
So move.
Councilman Franklin,
Second.
Councilman Lightfoot. Any other discussion?
No discussion.
None.
All right, those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Good one, I.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Departmental reports, Chief.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just want to, probably, you may have seen some of our crews doing some ladder training there on Villa Road. We brought a company in, did some ladder training with all 3 shifts. That was very successful. Like to compliment Chief Nichols back there. He's the one that set that up, and the crews have heard a lot of positive feedback on that we've done recently. And also wanted to remind you that we're having our Community Awareness Day on Saturday, June 15th from 9 till noon. And we'll have extrication class or extrication set up, some rope rescue for the citizens to be able to come out, visit the fire station, look at the apparatus, and see some of the things that we do with our special operations and that sort of thing. So other than that, I don't have anything additional unless you have any questions about the monthly report.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Be full.
Mayor, Council, I've taken up quite a bit of your time tonight. I just wanted to highlight that I provided the remainder of our 3 annual reports, our pursuit analysis, our response to resistance analysis, and our fleet accident injury analysis for your review along with the monthly report. Be happy to answer any questions that you have on those. Status on our hiring, I have 2 individuals I hope to do chief interviews with later this week and offer them conditional offers, which will progress them in the remainder of the process and hopefully be able to have a couple we may be able to send to the academy here in a month or so. I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
These are all prepared by your office.
Yes, sir.
I will have to say, he's smiling way too much to have you in a, is that you?
No.
Oh.
I'm getting a little too old and a little too brittle for that. We actually had, to touch on the response to resistance report, we had last week our defensive tactics classes where Investigator White conducted a portion of that class. He's our resident Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu soon to be black belt. So we had to dial him in and rein him in just a little bit so we didn't get anybody hurt. But we did accomplish our first phase of our 3 phase of our defensive tactics training. And we've got that in the books. And we're preparing to set the dates for the remainder of those 2 classes.
Yeah, I think he was just having a little too much fun.
He enjoys what he does.
So, was that a total of the vehicle?
That particular unit, we don't know yet. We're still waiting on some numbers to come in.
That's that recent where they used the vehicle to stop them.
No, that's actually a different one. We've had a few.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um,
You have to read the report. There's a couple in
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
the one you're speaking of was the
One in the
the,
apartment complex.
the apartment complex. That vehicle actually has been deemed a complete loss.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we're waiting on the numbers on that as well.
Chief, I will say, after the council meeting, the last one that we had, I got to witness your staff live in action at Whataburger.
Were they,
You're famous for all that stuff.
I know, right?
did they order the cheeseburger?
No.
They were out of cheese. They were out of cheese.
I'm not sure what they ordered. I was going to get some fries. However,
Yeah.
I got to witness your staff. I was behind a gentleman who was unresponsive, in the drive-through. He was just sitting there forever. So I called 911, the staff, they came out super quick. I don't remember her name, so forgive me, but she was in charge. But she handled that situation very, very well, and your team, they worked perfectly fine together. So I just wanted to give you that information.
Thank you.
but
I'm,
they did an
I'm
excellent
familiar
job.
with the call.
Okay,
So yeah, I appreciate that. And that ended up resulting in a DWI arrest,
okay,
with an open container.
okay. But they handled that situation very well. So kudos to them. They didn't know who I was, which is, I prefer it that way. But I was actually able to observe them, and they handled it very well.
They know who you are.
Thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Ms. Beasley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council again. So a couple updates from this month's report. First, let me say, thank you guys for all of your feedback and direction. Definitely appreciated, on the possible renovations for the municipal center. On this month's, report, a couple things I wanted to highlight. Our department has, discussed, adding a give back of some sort initiative to each of our large community events and festivals. So we're going to be starting with our Red Oak, White and Blue. And this year we have added a Give Back to Soldiers initiative. We're going to be accepting care package items at the library leading up to the event and then on site that day at the event. Those items will then be taken by Airborne Angels, DFW-based organization, and they're actually going to be shipped overseas. So we'll be getting that information out soon about what items we'll be accepting, but we're excited about adding that to this year's event. In addition to that, we are currently interviewing for a summer intern, which is exciting, I guess, for our department, to add that internship and be able to guide and mentor a college student in communications and marketing. So we're interviewing for that right now and hoping to bring that person on for the summer here in the next few weeks. And that is really all I have. I will take any questions anybody has on this month's report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartman.
Mayor, Council, I just want to highlight one of our permit numbers from this month. We did in this past month, 42 new single-family homes, which is pretty high for us in a month. So we are, despite all of the talk about interest rates, I guess we're still selling here in Red Oak. So good for us and good for the city as a whole.
Where most those permits come from, Ben?
The New Oaks subdivision over there behind Oaks Fellowship Church, as well as the Creek Bend subdivision. That's south of Harmony.
Okay,
So,
okay, got it. Thank you.
thanks.
West side. Thank you, sir. Ms. Platt.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just a couple of things that I wanted to bring out from the report. As we have now finished our year-end report from 2023 and we'll be submitting that for the award. We're moving on to the budget for fiscal year 25, and the departments and department heads have been hard at work already working on their strategic plans and goals and projects to bring to you in that. And Karen will be sending out a tentative date to see if that will work for y'all and get your feedback for our first budget workshop coming up this summer. So y'all should be receiving that soon if you haven't already. So we are about 7 months into the year in 2024. And so that's around the 58% mark. So we like to see our expenditures under that level. So in the report, you will see that the only fund we show a little over that at 61% is water sewer, and that is due to large capital projects that we are working on in that fund. And of course, those aren't spread out evenly throughout the year. Everything else is well under and looking good, trending well with revenues. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
No question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Miss Amanda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just have a quick update on recruitment. So the month of April, we added 4 new positions, and right now we have 4 job postings available for applicants. Speaking of budget, we are starting on reviewing the salary surveys for personnel and all of those requests for the upcoming budget process. But I'm available to answer any questions that you may have for my monthly report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Mr. Benford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple of things. We did pass our CGIS audit with the police information system, so we did pass that. That was a nice thing to get done, get behind us for a few years. I think they'll be back in 3 years, so we'll do it again. And the only other thing, we've got more staff now, more technology. We're using the internet more, so we're now having to upgrade our internet. We're expanding our network speed for the internet by 4 times and our internal network by 3 times, and it's going to cost us $100 a month. So the internet actually went down by going up. So AT&T, so go figure. But we ended up just, I think, a little over $100 a month, and we increased our speed by about 4 times. So that'll really help. And if you got any more questions or anything.
Are we gonna have, I noticed you had an email to staff the other day about some kind of training. Is council gonna be receiving that as well?
Yeah, we'll push it out to them at some point. It's different cybersecurity training this year than what we've had before. It's just a different company. So this one's going to be 15-minute training, more videos. So it'll be a little shorter than what you normally have to do. But
Answers?
yeah,
You already
sure.
have the other
Yeah, I already had
memorized.
those copied.
Yeah.
You mean memorize?
Yeah.
You learned it so well, you did well on it.
Okay,
So I know that's your favorite thing to do every year. So
thank you.
you're welcome.
Let's go.
Evening. I just wanted to highlight a few things from April. The Red Oak Public Library has been increasing our outreach in the community. So we've been able to continue going to some of the elementary schools. This month, we were able to go to Red Oak Elementary as well as Shutman Elementary School. Each of the times we went, we visited about 4 different classes, reading stories, engaging in STEAM lessons and hands-on engagement, trying to encourage that at the schools. We also received our new furniture from the Friends of the Library that was generously donated by them. So we now have 4 comfortable adult seating chairs as well as 2 small tables. And thank you to Public Works for helping us put those together. We are gearing up for our summer reading programs. You should each have a copy of our wonderful summer reading program. Every time over the summer, everybody can hear the statistics from the schools about the literacy and the amount of decrease from the children over the summer and that long break. So during the summer, the library really tries to push literacy and bring the kids in and engage with them, in addition to reading some hands-on engagement and some little tricks and tips where we have them reading, but they don't necessarily know it. So be sure to look over our program and come out to that. We'll be doing our kickoff to the summer reading program on Saturday, June 1st from 1:30 to 4 o'clock. We're also looking for volunteers for our summer reading program for many of our events. So you should each have a copy and a direct link to all of our volunteer programs. Our volunteers only need to be ages 12 and above. So please encourage anybody in the community to volunteer at the library this summer when they need something to do to stay out of trouble. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. How's everybody this evening? Well, this year has been a very wet year for us, as you hadn't noticed, but we canceled the Touch a Truck, unfortunately. We tried it twice. And due to the logistics of getting the helicopters and all the trucks and the vehicles here, gets a little crazy as we get closer to the summer. So we've decided to push it off until next year and go at it again. So unfortunately, we did cancel that event. On June 1st, we're going to have a Take a Kid Fishing event. This will be a simple event that'll coincide with Texas Parks and Wildlife's Free Fishing Day. We encourage parents to come on this one to fish. Actually, everybody can fish together. It's not a competition on this one. Instead, this is going to be an event where we can introduce people to fishing, help them understand, give them some bait, give them some poles and everything in case they need any equipment. And then just give them a little helping hand to get them to come out and go fishing. This will coincide, we'll have 3 fishing events this year. This will be the second one. And we'll have a third one in October, which will be our catfish catching. We don't have a name for that event yet, but Texas Parks and Wildlife will be stocking the pond for us for that event. There will be no stocking on this event because of the timing and the coinciding with the free fishing day. Everybody under the sun wants to fish for that day, and Parks and Wildlife just doesn't have the staff to handle that. 2 items that'll be coming up that weren't mentioned in the report is the Oaks Parks. There's 2 parks in the Oaks, the new addition. We have a trail park, which is a 3/4 of a mile, 8-foot wide walking trail. It's got 6 stops on it where you can stop and work out, some equipment there. And so it's a really nice park with a parking lot, and I'll have a budget request in there for next year to do what we've done with the other parks. We're going to be adding some solar trail lights to give that some illumination so that way people can use it more than just sun up to sundown, and it'll give us some additional security for that park. Looks like we'll be taking those parks sometime in the next 30 to 45 days. So there will be some additional maintenance costs coming. The park, which we're calling right now, the East Park at the Oaks, is the actual park itself. It's got a really nice restroom, a storage facility, a small office/storage area. And then we've also going to have, it's a parking lot, couple backstops, and it's a wide open area in the middle so people can recreate and do things that they want. There is a pavilion there, although it's probably not what we would consider a rentable pavilion. It's got some different style seating than what we're used to, and it only has 9 seats to it because these are individual seats on those tables. So those we're not looking at renting out, but rather just let the public come, first serve with those. And with that, y'all have any questions for me?
Just one question. I love how you're thinking, first and foremost. Great ideas. I don't know if this is you question or Todd question. The basketball court that we have here indoors, are there any plans to add that to the budget to come before us to get that ball rolling?
So we don't have final information back yet, but I know Jonathan and Lee and Cal have been working with YMCA, and they are looking at potentially coming in and running a basketball program in there, but also giving us some ideas of what improvements may be needed to actually be able to do that.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have anything more late than that, but
We've met with the YMCA several times. They've looked at the space. They had their facilities people come up with a draft of what layout and type of arrangement that they would need in order to operate that space for us, if that's what we choose to do. So we finally have that back. They've asked for some additional information from our Parks Master Plan study as far as the needs in the community, because they want to make sure that they're addressing what the needs are, as well as how it fits into their model as well. So the next item on that is to look at the funding for the actual capital investment of the space. So that's our next hurdle per se. So, once we get an idea of what that number would look like, then we can look at options on how we might be able to fund that, because their expectation would be for us to actually handle the construction and the improvements of, since it's our facility, and then they would come in and operate.
Okay. Is there a timeline on that? Or are we just at their leisure?
There's not a timeline right now, no, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I would add one more thing. The basketball court that we added here in the park, the surfacing has been delayed because of the weather. They're scheduled to try again on Wednesday. They need about 48 hours of dry time in order to put that surface down, and then they'll get the surface down we'll do the second phase, which is the amenities and the lights, and that'll follow once we get the courts surfaced and striped.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sir, Mr. Williams.
Good evening again, Mayor Council. Just an update from related to a meeting pre-construction meeting this morning with TxDOT for the Ovilla Road widening project. So it's a 9-page agenda that we went through, so I'll just hit the high points. So this is the pre-construction meeting was for the Ovilla I-35 interchange and also the Loop 9 interchange. So they'll be running, coinciding, going together in construction. So TxDOT let this project on the February 22nd, so it went out for bid on the 22nd, and their start date now is scheduled for June 3rd. So it's coming up in a few weeks.
June 30th?
June 3rd. Yes, sir. Their total contract days is 924 contract days with the contractor. So that there could be rain day. I mean, it could add to that, but their scheduled contract days are 924. So works out to be 2 years and 53 days. So, and they, at least for now, what they let us know today, looks like the contractor is going to want to address the service road access service roads first. That's what they'll be working on. We did communicate with them and ensure that that they're going to give us 2 weeks notice and do any kind of press releases as well for any impacts to, related to traffic impacts, major traffic impacts. And so we'll take that information and make sure our communications department has that and can also get that out in our social media platforms. So and that's kind of the summarized version of the meeting.
Does Highway 9 go over 35?
Under 30.
It goes
30
over 35
Oh.
during this preliminary construction.
Yes.
Ultimately, when they build main lanes and so forth, I think the ultimate configuration is 35 will go over Loop 9. But for now, it's just a box intersection going over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
And just for the record, they are maintaining traffic across Ovilla Road during the entire process.
Yes, sir. They will be taking down the bridge in sections. And there will be, they didn't say how many lanes like they did last time, but that will be, accessible east to west. So
Not fun, but
accessible.
usable.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Governor.
you. Okay, we were going to go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government's Code, Section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072, and the time is 9:06.
Ms. Stevens?
Eleven, huh? I think they got a shit ton of team, you know, they can.
Since we settled out, we're done.
You know, you gonna eat pokey bake?
Are we back in?
Greg. Greg.
Good. All right, the time is 9:28, and we will reconvene back into open session. Was there any action items that need to be taken?
No, Mayor, there was not.
At 9:29, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So move.
Good one. Miller, those in favor?